Hello and welcome back. Welcome back to Sparks the Conversation. We're back with another podcast, and I am joined finally after a long vacation by my apparent co-host or long-distant friend, Rowan Smith. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me back, or
Yeah,
should
man.
I say,
I
glad to
asked
be
the
back.
listeners, and they said you should be allowed back on. I had other thoughts due to the longevity of your disappearance, but nonetheless, we move on. I shall swallow my pride, and we will crack on with the podcast.
Good things come to those who wait. You just have to wait a little bit, and then I came back.
Exactly. Hopefully, the gift that you give is better Wi-Fi than you've had before.
With this house, it should be.
It should be, yeah. So, how's things with you?
Yeah, they're good, man. Came to the realization that I'm basically halfway through my masters now. I've got April off for Easter holidays / work on some of my bigger assignments.
Nice.
And then it's literally just 5 weeks to crack on with dissertation testing. And
do you know what your dissertation is going to be on yet?
Yes, so it is on appetite regulation and compensatory mechanisms as a result of exercise. So basically, the study is people either exercise or don't exercise, and then they use like a software that got developed in Leeds to assess what their food cravings are. So then you can see whether your responses to different foods, how much you would want to eat of food, whatever it would be, is altered by exercise.
Exercise makes you want to eat all of the food. That's my conclusion to that study.
Depends on what. Sometimes I could walk through somewhere and be like, oh, I'm not interested in food.
Almond croissant anytime, any day.
Okay, yeah.
Any exercise.
Don't even need to exercise for that.
But yeah, that sounds good. So that would be like the third paper you've been on? Second? Official? Now, if it gets published. I'm not sure if dissertations get published, though, do
they? Good chance for it to be published, as long as the data isn't a load of shit, which
hopefully
it won't be.
You'd hope that the standard of the uni would mean that it wouldn't be shy.
Yeah, well, it's a continuation study, so it was originally started, I think, by undergrads.
Don't trust
maybe this year. So that's my issue. So we're now continuing it and adding more participants to it. So as long as they've not fucked it and the data's good, it should be publishable.
Based on most undergrads I know, all data is made up.
Yeah. go from my undergrad testing. Most data you take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, because I remember. That was your undergrad, wasn't it? You were testing in COVID, weren't you? Waking your housemates up and testing them. Yeah, I remember that. But to be fair, you were testing them though. Like most people, I know on my education degree, people just made it up because they weren't going to check. You can't check it, and it's irrelevant anyway because with education, it wasn't like a longitudinal study like your undergrad stuff. But anyway, we digress. More to the point, Rowan has turned his back on full meathead. But he likes to think he has. However,
temporarily,
he is now a hybrid. Okay, the TM cycles effect. He has followed TMC and joined the walk, run / pull his Achilles club. But he has ventured into the world of kind of more functional training. Is it fair to say that? More relaxed, it's just less intense bodybuilding with a bit of fitness in there. That's how I'm viewing it.
Kind of, yeah. Like I think the eventual goal will be to play some sort of sport again on top of everything else. But yeah, it's primarily still lift to have a small amount of muscle mass and to be mildly not weak.
Yeah.
Whilst
just having slow.
Oh yeah, that will never change.
If anyone's seen Rowan deadlift, so slow. It's the slowest thing.
It's improved. It has improved.
There must be all that running. Anyway, carry on, Simon.
Yeah, and then just have a slightly better gas tank. And if I'm honest, it's just nice not taking bodybuilding as seriously. Because
not bulking. Because it was the bulking that was pissing you off. Like just eating food all the time and like taking up all your time eating. And then if you didn't eat 4,500 calories, you'd lose weight, and then it would just annoy you. So I can completely understand like that pressure all the time is a bit, just wears you down a bit, gets you a bit tired. And like I even think that some days, like, just what the fuck am I even trying to do here? Like, naturally, I'm not even fucking growing that much muscle, but there is a time and a place where I'll be joining you. After 2023, I'll be right on over. Because I'm still cycling at the moment. There will be a point when probably I'm too heavy to cycle, or if I will do, it would be too much of a struggle.
You're gonna start breaking your bike.
Yeah, again. But then when it comes to like 2023, I probably will just drop cycling and just let my body get fully like down regulated to any form of cardio, because I am doing quite a lot of cardio at the moment. I'm managing it all right. Like, my body weight's still going up, strength's still going up. But yeah, like I am looking forward to, like, just really like hammering cardio in 2023. Like, I've said it to a few people now and they said I'm mad, but like the feeling, the euphoria you get from cardio is way different from weights. Like, I think TMC did talk about this in a much bigger podcast than us. What's it called? Off the Cuff. And he said like that the feeling you get is like you just feel dirty after a weight session where you've just like beaten yourself up and you've got no soul left. Whereas with like cycling, when you go out and you do a long cycle, you feel like actually alive. Like I can't describe it, because like on the weekend, like, I was just out in the sun on my own and I was just like, this is actually class.
Well, I went out for a ride earlier today,
and
albeit it was bitterly cold. It was my first ride in months and months. It was just so nice to be out. Like, I've only done indoor cycling for the time being, so getting outdoors on the road again. It's just so much more fun.
Yeah.
Like, actually having things to look at.
And how weird is it that like that's cardio, right? And you can easily do like 2 hours outside, but if you had to do 2 hours on a Stairmaster, you'd be fucking like, I don't want to say it, but slitting your wrists. Do you know what I mean? I didn't want to say it, but I said it. It's my podcast to do what I want. So yeah, like, I'm really looking forward to that, because I like you, like, I want to do like a triathlon. I'm shit at swimming. I'm terrible at running. But I think the main reason I'm terrible at running is because I'm always sitting a little bit heavier than my body wants to be. Saying that, I think like 100, annoyingly, I do think like 100 kilograms is like my set point now. Because my body has really tried to get, I said it to you like a few weeks back, my body really tried to get me to 100 quickly. And the minute I surpassed 100 on the scales, my hunger that I was struggling with from prep massively just stopped. And like my hormones came back, everything started working down below, if you get what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So that's the only limitation I think I have for like endurance stuff, that if I am just 100 kilogram person now, that's quite a lot to be shifting about. Which
as well, like a fairly interesting point on that, where most people would say you turn hybrid, you lose all your gains, you're nothing. It's fairly easy to maintain.
Yeah, like easy, isn't it?
As long as you're eating enough and still getting in a couple of sessions, I really don't think it's too difficult to keep most of what you have.
Exactly. And I think that's why most of the this is why I think sometimes I get a bit pissed off of CrossFit, because like I look at some of these CrossFit people and they have 100% trained for bodybuilding for like 80% of their life. The last 5 years have been CrossFit, and they're just maintaining all of the muscle that they've built from bodybuilding, from all this hybrid stuff. And it looks sick. Do you know what I mean? But just to clarify, that didn't build the muscle. So I'd always put in a little bit of time beforehand, because otherwise you will look like Bradley Wiggins, wouldn't you? Like, he is not jacked. Phenomenal athlete, but not jacked at all. And just to clarify, I don't want to look like him at any cost. I would take illness over that. But nonetheless, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Because I might buy myself a new bike very soon, which will be so soon. So I'm thinking, if I'm getting fatter and heavier, I just need a better bike to be able to carry me.
Just get an e-bike.
Yeah, just don't lose weight. Just get a bigger bike.
Speaking of fucking e-bikes.
Oh yeah.
I'm out there earlier today, gunning it.
Did you get done by one?
Gunning up this hill, full steaming. I'm climbing out the saddle. This guy on this little e-bike just.
It's a joke, isn't it?
Past me, doesn't even pedal. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it is annoying. Was he old? Because if he's old, I'll let him on.
No, okay. Young lad.
You've been mugged
Like,
there.
my age. Yeah.
That's a
Oh,
joke.
our age.
Fuming. Our age, my age. You're like 40, are you? Right. So
Something
we've
like
done
that.
our introductions. Rowan's back. You don't get used to him because
Yes.
he'll probably leave again.
Potentially.
Useful. I've got trust issues, so that ain't good. So let's talk about the topic of today. So this is something I've literally been waiting for Rowan to get back on because I didn't want to talk about it on my own. But the question is, or the statement is, just put it out there: did fitness ruin your life? And I'm not putting in, this is not a negative, okay? I'm just thinking about, because it was one of those days I think I was with you and I was like, I think I said to you, like, what would life be like if you never knew about calories? Or like you never knew about like macronutrients and proteins and stuff. And you just went through life like just making decisions purely based on what you actually want to do, as opposed to other things like, I would love a brownie, but I know it's got 30 grams of carbs, 20 grams of fat, and I'm going to have food later. Do you know what I mean? And that's the main one for me is like, I think the minute I started like calorie tracking, food changed. Like it was no longer food and it just became kind of fuel. And I see that as both a positive and a negative in the sense that I can like disassociate my emotion from food and I can just be like, right, I've got these numbers to hit. It's fuel. I'm just going to eat it. I can also, I don't have to have like super tasty meals. I appreciate good food, but like, do you know what I mean? I'll tick the boxes if I need to, which is also a positive. But the main negative is that like, even when we say we're not number crunching, we're number crunching. We're like,
always.
I'll eat
Always
intuitively and it'll just, that awareness, like that's another thing that like wears me down a bit. Because like every minute of the day, I'm like, fuck, 20 calories. Twitch. I don't know what you think. Is there anything else that you think about that?
My opinion has been changing quite a lot recently. So when we first had that conversation, I completely agreed with you. And to a big extent, I still do. I do think a lot of my decisions are still based off of, does this meal have enough protein in? I go out for dinner and I may not always pick the thing that is going to be what I think would be the tastiest, but I'm like, okay, that's probably got a little bit more protein in than this.
That's one of the things as well. Not letting go, being able to let go of protein in foods, because like even the other day, like went for like pizza. Yes, I can eat pizza now. And I was like, I heard myself say like, where's the meat on these? And I'm like, I don't even like meat on pizza. Like, I literally just want ham and pineapple. Or like, do you know what I mean? Just like, yeah, face says it all. I knew that would ruffle a few. But like, I don't want protein on everything. Like, but I've been ingrained to do this, and it like, I don't know. It's weird, isn't it? Like the narrative we create for ourselves is fucking strange.
Well, it's something that my missus always says to me. She's just like, can't you?
Oh yeah, everyone has a girlfriend. Bye.
She's like, can't you just relax for a day? I'm like, no, it's not that simple.
Nah, because our brains are just wired. And I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing because, like, arguably, we've been able to regulate our weight all through a period where most people struggle with their weight. 20s to 30s are a period where most people put on a lot of timber. And I do accredit that to, obviously, we're into fitness, so it would never really happen. But I think even if you had the basic nutritional knowledge and the kind of fundamentals that we know, you'd be able to regulate a lot better in terms of your weight. So that's one of the reasons I think fitness ruined my life. Another one I think is like constantly trying to be better. And I do think that's like seeped into other areas, which isn't a bad thing because like it's a good trait. You don't always want to be like static.
It's not a bad trait if you're self-aware of it.
Yeah, and it's hard though because like after prep I was massively just like, I want to be better. Everything had to be better, which worked because like my business grew, everything grew, I made good decisions and stuff like that. But like the minute I feel content, it's almost like when you do a set and it feels easy, you make it harder. And I feel like that happens in my life. Like I get content with things. Like, I don't know. Like I'm trying to think of something. Let's say a job, like you get content with a job, you finding it easy now. You're like, fuck, it's boring. It's boring. It's not pushing me anymore. What's the point in it? And then I'm like, is this the right thing for me? Do I need to change it? And then what I actually need to think is like, hold on a sec. Like, Give yourself a minute, lad. I'm just calm the
But
fuck down.
as well, on top of that, it's not that kind of sense of almost not being able to enjoy the moment as it comes. You're always thinking about what you're going to do next. How can you improve? What is the
Yeah.
next step forwards?
Yeah.
And there are so many things where I don't know. I might have gotten an interview for something, but then I'm still thinking about, okay, well, what happens after that? What happens if I do this?
Yeah. Like
And
you
then you don't get
analyze
to actually,
everything.
yeah, you almost then don't get to enjoy what is happening in that moment because you're just thinking of the next thing.
Yeah. And I think I don't know if that's like necessarily like a product of fitness, but I think the mentality you develop from fitness would facilitate that thought process if it was already in you. If that
Yeah,
makes sense. And I'd agree, like I'm always like, yeah, like you're always looking ahead, aren't you? Like, what next? You've done it, you've achieved it now. What next? Because it's
yeah.
like, right, now I've cut, what do I do? A bulk. Okay, how long for? A year. Okay, that's the goal. Do it. And that's yeah, I can see what you mean there. And it's a tricky one. I'm like,
I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm enjoying this transition into sport because
you haven't played
it's
sport for
not
like 10 years, so you can't say that statement.
actually I played
Basketball in a park with me does not count. And I'd won
I
anyway.
played I played rugby just before starting my undergrad
Oh, okay.
4.5 years ago.
Okay. So you've just
athlete
referred to
mate.
yourself as a sportsman and you played it 4.5 years ago.
No. I didn't say I was a
Sports women
sportsman.
are
I'm saying that's
available.
why I like sport and want to
Okay.
work in sport.
Just clarifying. That's
Different.
fine. Sorry,
Yeah.
bro.
I will be a sportsman one day.
One day.
But I think it's just that's endless cycle of bulking, cutting, just isn't as enjoyable because there's not too much. I just feel like, especially with bodybuilding, it is a little bit unfunctional. Well, don't get me wrong, I still love bodybuilding. I would still happily go to any show, and most of my Instagram is just naked men tanned up and oiled.
Agreed.
But watching athletes be able to do some of the shit that they do is so much more interesting to me now than it was 6 months ago, a year ago.
Yeah, it's cool. I think, yeah, I agree, man. Like, it's an interesting one. I think it is like a little bubble you live in with bodybuilding. And then you speak to people like normal people and they're like, what the fuck? You train every day and do the same shit. And then you're like, yeah, I do. Why do I do that? And then they're like, yeah, why do you do that? But like, we know why we do it, but it is just like, I don't know, if we're not going to be like the best in the world, why are we doing it? I don't know. That's a question I think to myself all the time. That's why I'm giving myself like one more show, 2023. That goes, if as long as I beat what I did before, and if it goes well, I'll think about like what I do next. It will go well, but it's just like whether it will be as pivotal as like, right, I'm going to stay with bodybuilding now. I don't really call natural bodybuilding, is it? It's just like trying to grow some little tiny muscles and then diet them all off and look small.
Grow about 1 pound of muscle.
1 pound of muscle every 20 years. Wedge. Yeah, so that's why I like 2023. Decide, see how it goes. One more show, then see what the crack is. Because like I'm definitely going to do like a time trial this year as well. I know this is different, but a time trial would be decent. Because on a flat, mate, dangerous. See me on a hack squat, see me on a fucking time trial. It's the same shit, lad. I can go there.
See the quads churn.
I can just absolutely churn out the watts. But anyway, that's a sidetrack. So I think we've answered that question. I think those are the main ways I've seen kind of fitness, quote unquote, ruin my life. But also, I think fitness is my life. So it's not actually ruined my life, is it? There's just a few bugbears that like wear you down a bit in there.
Yeah, I do think definitely on the flip side of that, though, most of my, I don't want to say most of my identity now is based off of fitness, but had I not gone to the gym when I was 20, I doubt I would have come into this journey. Like I would not
have the life I do now, like at all.
No,
I
definitely would never have gone to uni, done the masters.
Yeah, who knows?
Probably a PhD after, like, yeah.
I'll probably still be the naughty kid. That'll be about it. Yeah, so I think that's a good one. I think that's wrapped up nicely. Unless you can think of any more off the top of your head, because you're the one who actually hates fitness and now does sport.
I think the main one. So I think there's like this huge discrepancy as well between sport and like gym health, where especially more like gym-based stuff, you're also trying to keep account of like your nutrition, your training. But then how many times have you looked at your watch at the end of the day and been like, shit, I've only done 5,000 steps. And you feel bad for only doing 5,000 steps.
Agreed. Fucking
That's the bugbear for me.
Yeah, but is it a bad thing to be that accountable to standards like that? See, those are the standards that I think. Is that a bad thing? Is that a negative? Because like, yeah, suppose if it's just one day, but I didn't miss like 10,000 steps for almost a year. And I only just let myself do like 7,000 the other day because I did a 2-hour ride. But that's just me being weird. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, to be fair, I'm on 7,000 and I did an hour and a half earlier. And I'm still like,
I need to
go do another hour or two.
And that's what I mean. Like, I don't know. For me, like that's one that's like, if it wasn't steps, it would just be something else for me, like a different standard that I'd be thinking about. I'd be thinking about like, I don't know, if I was an artist, like making sure I did like, I don't know why I said artist. I'm the least artistic person. I'm literally autistic and so fucking straight narrow. I don't know, something else, something other than art. I'd just be like, right, what can I do what would my non-negotiables be for this day based on the identity that I had? But yeah, I agree. Like, I think the key is, and I think what you're trying to do is like get a little bit more control over the control, if that makes sense. Like, freedom over the control. Like you're not feeling like bound to like, right, I've got to do 10,000 steps, I've got to eat fucking 20 grams of protein. You're like, I can, because I know I can pretty easily, but like if I go out for a meal, it doesn't matter. And if I go on holiday and I do 2,000 steps because I'm on a sun lounger, it doesn't matter, because it just doesn't. And that's fine, because right now, like, your goals have changed from what they were. And I think for people, like, if your goal is enough to you, you'll probably still want to do those things. But if your goals change from like physique development to more different things, you probably like let them go a little bit, like just crack on and do what you enjoy. The key message from this is just do what you fucking like. If you don't like it, don't do it.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's not being married into having to do one certain thing. I think the reason as well that I like the idea of sports nutrition is it's, unless you're, I don't know, world-class level where being able to measure complete expenditure to then like compensate that with food, for the most part, you're just trying to make good decisions with what you're eating, being strategic with when you're eating things, etc. Whereas with bodybuilding and more gym-based composition things, there's not that huge variability in expenditure. Everything is controlled. Training sessions don't burn that many calories, so it's quite easy to kind of account for
just don't see them as calories
you are expending. Just eat. And then you're just like, you have to eat these certain things, and that's why I think it's so robotic. Whereas go do loads of exercise, and then
there's calculations involved, and it's fun.
You burn so many more calories that you're more just like, go just fucking eat. Just make sure you eat anything, and you can enjoy it more.
And that's why you see like these cyclists who like do like Tour de France, like eat so fucking much, and like, and they're like fit as a fiddle. Like they're burning as little calories as they can. So imagine if, like, I'm not saying go and do the Tour de France, but like when I do like a 3-hour ride,
maybe
I'm fucked. Like, and I try and eat back, but I'm just fucked. Like, and it says on my watch I'll be like 2.5, 3,000 calories, but like the amount I'm blowing, I probably think I'm probably more than that. But yeah, I do think that's like quite exciting. And I think, like, again, that's something I'd really look forward to when I transition over. But the thing is, I can already see myself getting way too into it, just like I am with like physique development. I'll be like, Do you know what I mean? I'll be like, oh, it's got to come from carbohydrates because, do you know what I mean? I'll be like that guy.
Yeah.
Like I can already see it because I'm already like that. If I cycle now, I'm like, it's got to be carbohydrates, low fat, fructose in there. Do you know what I mean? I'm already picking up things and it's just like, fucking hell, man, let's just give it a rest. But then is that just me? Do you know what I mean? Like if I became a book fanatic, would I like
probably much more you?
Yeah, just weird autistic man who just loves trains and shit. But yeah, cool. So that's podcast one. We're going to film another one actually. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to check Rowan out, I might put him in the description, but he hasn't been around for a while, so fuck him. He's going to start posting some content again because he's had a long sabbatical.
Yeah.
But he said this before, so I'm not going to bother chasing up on him anymore. He's going to have to just do it himself.
It's a new Rowan. Everything has changed.
New Rowan,
it's
except he's injured.
Gonna be there.
But yes, we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching. We've got online coaching spaces. If you want to join, have a look at the bio, download the free program, all the good stuff. Speak to you soon. Love you. Bye.
Good night.